Well, we just got news. Came from the player himself, Maason Smith, announcing that he won't be returning for LSU next season. He is entering the NFL draft tonight. He has done it after only 20 appearances out of a possible 40 games that he could have participated in. Playing only 944 snaps, 47 tackles, 9.5 TFLs, 6.5 sacks, 2 batted passes. This last season he only had 2.5 sacks, 4.5 TFLs. What do you all make of this? Yes, he played his most games that he did in his career this season. And maybe that's the justification of it, is like, hey, I've proven that I can be healthy. I can last a whole season being healthy. I'm good to go. Draft me. I know I'm going to take a hit in the draft, but I can't risk another injury like that again. Right? Is that the thinking behind this? I'm hearing there's an agent, a really slimy agent who wants his money, and who's been basically scaring Maason with injury talk. And hey man, LSU aren't going to take care of you after you get hurt. You know, make that jump now. Look at what these fans say about you. You know, like highlighting any negativity they could get their hands on and exaggerating it to the utmost degree to get the ends that they are pursuing. And you see that a lot with agents. You wonder, why did the kid just make this type of decision? This makes no sense for them. Usually there's an agent or some type of circumstance that's making them bend that way. Sometimes it's an honorable circumstance, you know. Sometimes they're like, hey, my family needs the money now. I need to save my family now. I can't wait another year for this shit. You know, say your mom's in the hospital. Say your dad has bad back problems and he needs back surgery immediately. You know, I get all that. I understand all that. And none of you can look me in the eye and tell me that if, you know, even $1 million is on the table, that you're going to, like, no matter how much you love something, you're going to go through with it for a gamble with that money might not be on the table at the end of it. You're taking the money on the table. Like, no matter how much you love LSU. So a guy like Maason Smith, I think we need to be careful with this one. As a fan base, there's going to be a lot of people who want to criticize his decision here. And I get why. Because you look at the whole thing and it's like, he really did not have a complete LSU career, did he? He really did not. I mean, this is crazy. 7 games, 1 game. We all know what happened in that first game of 2022 that basically set his career to be in this position. We would be expecting, before that game against Florida State in 2022, week 1, we would be expecting this announcement after this last season, but with Maason being, you know, at worst, a mid-second round pick, having a really strong season to back that up. And, you know, he had moments, but this was not the same Maason Smith. And I think it's mental. I think having an injury of that nature, so innocuous, jumping up to celebrate your teammate making a play and you tear your ACL, I can't. And I've had some injuries in my playing career. It's been a long time ago, but I still remember it. I can't even fathom an injury like that. It would mess with you mentally, right? Every move, that could be the last. Have such a gift that Maason has taken from him for that long. And then, you know, the NCAA 1-game suspension, and then he's kind of banged up entering this year, too. It's just, for Maason, his LSU career started off great that freshman year. Had 3 sacks in a single game against McNeese. I know it's against McNeese, but as a true freshman, 3 sacks in a single game. And LSU did that 3 straight seasons, having a freshman get 3+ sacks in a game. Ojulari in 2020, Maason Smith in 2021, and Harold Perkins in 2022. You think of Maason as the 2024 leader of that defensive line, right? We were hoping Mekhi Wingo could be that 2024 captain of that defensive line, right? Both are gone. We barely saw the pair play together. This unstoppable, magical pair that was so highly fabled and highly anticipated, not least by people like me. We asked Mekhi Wingo those questions a ton during our interviews. How excited are you to be playing with a guy like Maason Smith, and how those two would work off each other. It would have been beautiful. And we saw a couple plays of that tandem and what that tandem could be. And that was at the end of the season, the Wisconsin game. That was it. That was all we got from that tandem. And it's sad because that could have been one of the best DT tandems in LSU history, right up there with Kyle Williams and Lavallee. But they never were on the field together at the same time. They had a few games here and there. No one was healthy when the other one was, and it's just a shame. It's just a shock. I did not expect Maason Smith to declare for the draft. I'm going to just say it right now. I know a lot of people always say, I knew it was coming. I just couldn't say anything or try and pretend they were never blindsided by anything. You constantly are talked down to as a fan base by some of these people in LSU media who always know more than you, right? These people are such insiders. They always know everything, like they're God. It's bullshit. This was Mason's announcement. Not even coaches on LSU's team knew what was going down and what was going to be said and what was going to be, what was going to come out from Mason's decision. Hell, I talked to a lot of players just the last few weeks who believed Maason was coming back. So, that tells you how close to the best this decision was. It wasn't broken by anybody. It was announced by Maason. Because let's face it, if we were all, betting on this, I think 99.9% of us are going to make that bet that he's coming back, right? But you got to think of it from that perspective of the injury. If there's at least $1 million, maybe even $2 million on that table, Mason's got to take it and forego his last season at LSU. He's got to take that money and he's got to develop at the next level. That's the thing for him. He's athletically built for it, but he's got to get the rest of the toolbox there. He's got to get all the rest of the accessories for the toolbox. He can be a complete game-wrecking defensive lineman machine. I remember a lot of people did not like when Danielle Hunter went to the NFL draft, and a lot of people were saying, he's going too early. I was one of them who thought he's going too early. Danielle Hunter's still making Pro Bowls nowadays. Still, this last season made another Pro Bowl. Like, we were wrong on Danielle Hunter. A lot of us were wrong on Danielle Hunter. But then you got guys like, Anthony Johnson who make this move. You could even say K'Lavon Chason. Even though it was the 2019 championship team and he had his best season, he really could have used that next year. And maybe looking back, maybe he feels like, damn, I should have done that. I don't know. You don't know always what's going through a guy's head when they're making these decisions. But I really do believe a big part of Mason's decision here is, hey man, you know what that feels like to have an injury out of nowhere. And you know that this can happen at any time. You know, how willing are you to suffer that again? To take potentially another season out with injury, lowering the draft stock further. It's hard to say what would have been the best decision here, because hindsight will be 2020. I'm sure many, if LSU win the national championship this next season, will be, Maason, you should have been, like, I'm not going to be one of those people. I want to see Maason succeed. I want to see Maason deliver at this next level. I just really feel like he needed that next season. Developmentally, I didn't see it, that it was there, that he took that next step. I don't think he was able to take that next step with his injury, with kind of the mental blockade from that injury that was quite obvious this season. I mean, he couldn't get off blocks. He was fighting with guys rather than getting through, shedding blocks. It was a tough season, and I don't think Maason wanted to come back because maybe some of the abuse he took from the fan base. But either way, Maason Smith makes the decision to declare for the NFL draft just about an hour and a half ago or so. And this is our rapid reaction. We're a little surprised by this. I mean, sure, it's either going to go two ways. He's either going to come back or go to the NFL. And going was still on the table the longer that this dragged out. And when you saw that there was an announcement from Maason, you knew what was coming down. And good luck to Maason, though. Good luck to Maason, but LSU have a lot of work to do in the transfer portal here.